Mr. Speaker, I now yield 1 minute to the distinguished Majority Leader of the House.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 1 minute.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Let us remember that the United States Senate in 2013, with 14 Republicans and the balance of Democrats, well over 60 people voting for comprehensive immigration reform. And as I recall, and perhaps the chairman can correct me, I believe $47 billion for security. Maybe the staff can shake their head that that was the right number. But it was a very substantial number. That may not be the exact number. On this side of the aisle, we pleaded with the majority, bring a comprehensive immigration bill to the floor. You were in charge. You could have brought whatever security that you wanted. You could have brought comprehensive immigration reform to the floor. The bills that were brought to the floor bore no relationship, with all due respect, to the Senate-passed bipartisan bill. And so we did not achieve comprehensive immigration reform. There was no conference, there was no back and forth, there was no response to that bipartisan bill. And so, I tell my friend from Texas, yes, there is a problem. There's a problem in trafficking, and we need to deal with it. But I also tell this House what it ought to know is that the immigration system is broken. I wait for somebody to arise and say, no, it's fine. Nobody believes it's fine, Mr. Speaker. These bills are not comprehensive immigration reform, but they are supported by the American people because they know that Dreamers, TPS, DED, are adding to this country's value. Mr. Speaker, for 135 years, America's bright beacon to the world has been that statue that stands in New York Harbor, lifts her lamp beside the golden door. For those who are yearning to breathe free. My father came through that door. He was 32 years of age in 1934. He came from Denmark. He came for the reason most come. Not fleeing, however, from a dangerous land, as some are now doing, but looking for opportunity and a better life. They have come throughout our history from every corner of the world, braving hardship and seeking opportunity, arriving here to build businesses, raise families, and contribute to strengthening communities. Dreamers have done that. They did not come at their instance. They came at their parents' instance or somebody else's instance. But they are here, and they know America as their home. Immigrants are a reason why America became one of the world's most powerful and most prosperous country. For years now, however, our immigration and visa system has been terribly broken. So much so that millions in this country live in fear, holding their breaths every day, that they could be deported to faraway lands that are not their homes. Because America is their home. For Dreamers, it has been their home since their earliest days. And today, this House is going to take action, as we did last Congress, to help them breathe easier. The Minority Leader and I were at a meeting at the White House some years ago. And the President, then President Trump, said, if you send me a Dreamers bill, I'll sign it. Well, we never sent it. Minority Leader and I negotiated, along with others, the administration and Senator Durbin and I and the Minority Leader, and Senator Cornyn. We didn't get there, sadly. This bill will correct the wrong that has brought fear and uncertainty to so many Americans. Yes, Americans. American is their home and their country. We are talking about patriotic and law-abiding residents, many of whom have been here for decades and are working to build a strong community and serving on the front lines of this pandemic as healthcare professionals, first responders, and essential workers. We owe them the chance to live without fear of deportation and family separation. There are other problems we ought to talk about, and we have talked about, but certainly these dreamers and those from TPS who have been here for a long period of time and DED, this bill is just for them. When I say just, I don't mean solely, I mean justice. We passed the American Dream and Promise Act last Congress with bipartisan support, and I hope we can do the same today. I want to thank Representative Roybal Allard for her leadership on H.R. 6, and all those in the Hispanic caucus, and all those, and yourself, Mr. Speaker, for the extraordinary work you've done. We're also voting, of course, today on another immigration bill this week, H.R. 1603, the Farm Workforce Modernization Act. I rise in support of that as well. This legislation, offered by Chairwoman Lofgren, would provide a pathway to permanent legal residency to undocumented agricultural workers and their families who are living here and filling a critical economic need from which we benefit, every one of us, every day. And that is the food on our table. Without that change, workers and their employers would continue to operate under a cloud of uncertainty and instability. These reforms are long overdue, and I want to thank Chairwoman Lofgren for her work to bring them to the floor. I hope, as part of a broader immigration reform efforts, that we can address the status of seasonal non-agricultural workers on H-2B, who contribute so much to our economy and communities working in landscaping, hospitality, and in my own state of Maryland, the crab industry. After the House passes this legislation and H.R. 6, I hope the Senate will move quickly to send them to President Biden for his signature. The DREAM Act, the Dream and Promise Act, some 75% of Americans are for that. We've been passing legislation the overwhelming majority of Americans are for, and somehow the Senate didn't get it or didn't care. Hopefully this year they will. If enacted, these two bills would provide a pathway to permanent legal status for some 3 to 4 million people. They're here. They're among us. They help us. They work with us. They pay taxes. Let's bring them out from under the cloud of being kicked out. This legislation today is a major achievement and will hasten the moment when 3 to 4 million immigrants and their families can breathe a little easier, a little freer, knowing they are welcomed and valued here in America, that they are truly a part of this country. And I urge my colleagues to support both of these pieces of legislation. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from New York.